Today's story is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A long time ago, a queen was sitting and sewing at an open window. It was snowing outside. While she was sewing and looking outside, she pricked her finger with the needle and drops of blood fell on the snow. She looked at her drops of blood and wished, "Oh, I wish I had a beautiful daughter with a skin as white as snow and lips as red as blood." Her wish was granted. Soon she gave a birth to a beautiful girl. She was named Snow White. But the queen died giving birth to her. The king married again. The new queen was wicked and hated Snow White. The new queen had a magic mirror. Every day she looked into it and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror always answered, "My queen, you are the fairest of all." Many years went by. Little Snow White grew up into a beautiful young woman. One day, the queen looked into the mirror and asked the usual question. This time, the mirror replied, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." The queen was jealous and became angry. She wanted to kill Snow White. She called a huntsman and ordered, "Take a Snow White to the forest and kill her. Bring me her heart as a proof." The huntsman took Snow White to the forest. When he raised his knife to kill her, she started crying. The huntsman felt pity for her and left her in the forest. He then killed a deer and took its heart to the queen. The queen was very happy. Meanwhile, after wandering for some time in the forest, Snow White found a small cottage. Finding no one inside, Snow White entered it. She saw seven plates on the table and found seven tiny pudding and drank some milk from the jar, which was kept in the kitchen. She slept on one of the beds. The cottage belonged to seven dwarfs who returned to at the dusk. They found a beautiful girl sleeping on a bed and woke her up. Snow White told her story to the dwarfs. They were very friendly and generous. They let her stay with them. One day, the mirror told the wicked queen that Snow White was still alive and living with dwarfs. The wicked queen was furious. She disguised herself as an old peddler and went to the cottage. The dwarfs were not there. Snow White could not recognize her and let her come inside the cottage. The wicked queen then bound Snow White tightly with a strong lace. The poor girl fainted. When the dwarfs came back in the evening, they quickly cut off the strong lace and saved her. The wicked queen was very happy. She thought she had to have killed Snow White. When the mirror informed that Snow White was still alive, she went mad with rage. She then poisoned an apple and dressed herself as an old country maid. She took the basket of apples to Snow White and offered her the poisoned one. When Snow White took a bite of the apple, she became unconscious. When the seven dwarfs came home that evening, they found Snow White lying on the ground. They tried hard to revive her, but she did not get up. Assuming that Snow White was dead, they placed her in a glass coffin. The next day, a young prince passed by the cottage where the dwarfs were crying around Snow White's coffin. He peeped into the coffin and saw a beautiful girl. She was the prettiest girl he had ever seen. He requested the dwarfs to give the coffin to him. The dwarfs allowed the peasants to take the coffin. On the way to the palace, the carriage carrying the coffin shook badly. With a sudden jolt, the piece of poisoned apple stuck in Snow White's throat came out. She opened her eyes and sat up. The prince was beside himself with joy and proposed to her. Soon they got married and lived happily ever after.